The CRC is unlike any other thing in collegiate rugby. It's the best experience. It's the best tournament.
It's the best sporting event I've ever been a part of, and it's something that I never thought with collegiate rugby that I'd be able to participate in.
Well, if you're new to Rugby Sevens, my man Brian Hightower is going to take you through the rules just to get you ready for Championship Sunday.
Todd, it's a simple game, 7-on-7 for 7-minute halves. Can't throw the ball forward. What's not so simple is tackling the guy with the ball in front of you. He's trying to get to your goal line to push the ball down and score a try. 5 points, and then you convert that try with a conversion kick, and you get 2 points.
And before we get to those plate semifinals and the consolation action, we've got Northeastern taking on the Hokies of Virginia Tech as they get set to take the field here at PPL Park. And we check in now with Marty Snyder.
Craig Buecher's the head coach for Virginia Tech. Do you think you guys have maybe exceeded expectations coming into the CRC?
Yeah, I think we've surprised a lot of people. We've really stepped up from where we were last year, and we're playing great rugby, and that's all we can hope for.
You've emphasized the start of games. Why?
Yeah, the start is really important. It's a lot about possession, but, once you can get the other team on the back foot, it kind of sets the tempo for the whole game and the whole day.
Just their second CRC, Todd, and he told me last year when we were here, we realized that's where we were losing matches, not getting off to good starts. They have really impressed a lot of people here in Philly, Virginia Tech.
And Coach is dead on, right, Brian? This is a short game, 7-minute halves with the clock continuing to run. You get down early, it's pretty tough to get back.
Yes, one of the surprise teams of this tournament, based on their performance last year, not so good, and now Virginia Tech, they look real good, and the reason is because they've been playing 7 since January with this same bunch.
Really opened eyes to start this tournament on Friday. They came out and just laid it to Arizona, one of the premier teams, and Virginia Tech just shut them out in game number 1. 3 games in pool play, and then you try to reach that cup or that Elite 8, and Virginia Tech was one of the teams just on the outside, didn't have enough points to get in, so here they are in the plate semifinals.
Some great players on both sides. Keep your eyes on the ball carrier there, number 3, Chris Frazier. They're going to try to get it into his hands, and there he goes.
Frazier with the stiff arm loses the ball. Now, did he lose the ball first or step out of bounds? Either way, it's going over to Virginia Tech.
Well, playing defense on Frazier there is the man to watch for Virginia Tech. The Hokies, Andy Haskell, wearing the number 5 jersey. He's been the leading try scorer on this team throughout the weekend.
Here's your first look at a line out, and we'll listen in.
5, 4, 2, 1, 7, get back.
And they overshoot the tunnel. It goes right to Northeastern. Diego Makira there to pick it up.
Big mistake back inside your own 22-meter line. You got to get that throw straight in the line out.
And this is just all about desires. Brian Eustace able to put it across for the first try of the match.
Northeastern came out with a victory earlier on Friday, but was disappointed. They played poorly against Penn State yesterday. They're here to prove a point. Watch the overthrow. Diego Maquiera picks it up.
You're good.
And then it's simple a matter getting it into the right hands. Jason Yao with a really nice sidestep there. And into the hands of Brian Eustace for the finish.
So the conversion comes straight out from where the try was accomplished. This thing is pushed to the left, so the 2 extra points not awarded to Northeastern as Jason Yao unable to convert. That would have been a very tricky kick.
Would have been the conversion coming from where this try was scored. And watch Yao, if he hangs up a real nice kick, it's got to go 10 meters, kind of just like an onside kick in football, and then either team can play for it.
Ball only. Play on.
And Northeastern does a good job of winning their own restart, a huge part of this game.
Pass forward.
And the ball is kicked into touch by Virginia Tech.
Scrum.
Knock on first by Northeastern. It'll bring it back for a Virginia Tech scrum, and they'll have an opportunity, really their first good quality possession.
So a knock on is when you push the ball or inadvertently knock the ball forward, and it's going to be a scrum to Virginia Tech, another way to restart the game here in Rugby Sevens, and we'll let you listen into the commands.
Bind, set.
Room to run, and they got the sweeper sucked in. If he can get away, can't pull it off.
Down. Tackle off the neck.
You can't tackle around the shirt collar.
Similar to a horse collar in football.
Exactly, and so the referee brings it back, an instant penalty. The team that commits the penalty has to get back 10 meters from the mark where the penalty occurred, and you'll see teams doing that throughout the day.
So with the clock running and coming up on 3:30 to go here in half number 1 of a 7-minute half, it is Northeastern leading Virginia Tech. The Huskies in the black.
Back 10.
And number 3's on the wrong side of the ruck there, Chris Frazier, so that's another penalty going against Northeastern.
Brian, two schools of thoughts, and we've seen many schools come in with different setups as far as team makeup. You get the teams that come in with the big players, looks like the offensive, defensive linemen and linebackers, and then you get the teams that come in with the free safeties, flankers, and the quarterbacks, and they play on all speed. Which one, if either, works better?
Well, it's best to have a combination of both. Everybody's got to be able to run for 14 minutes and sprint around the field for the entire game, and normally it's hard for bigger men to do that. But if you can get big guys who can run and surround them with guys with speed, then it's a real lethal combo in the game of sevens.
Out of there, 6.
Good organization by the Hokies, knocking on the door, trying to get on the board. Had a man on the outside. The pass just came too slow when it's held up there.
Yeah, that pass, if that pass would have skipped out to Haskell on the wing, he would have been in for the Hokies. Instead, defense coming up quick for Northeastern.
Michael Serby getting it down inside, can't punch it across. They'll try again. Down the line they go. Again, a man on the outside. They don't get it to him, and this time the pass goes errant.
Skill so important, just getting the ball into the right hands, and the pass has to be crisp. Haskell could have been away for a try. Instead, the pass goes over his head.
Release him, tackler! Tackler, release him!
Yeah, once you make a tackle, you have to release the ball carrier and get to your feet, and that's what the referee's doing. And hey, if you're new to the game, listen to the referee. He's going to basically teach you the game while it's being played.
Almost breaking free of the Hokies, but wrangled down at about 5 meters. Now they set up a ruck. Can they punch it in here? Great defense by Northeastern at the goal line. And it's poached. Huskies take it away.
Jason Yao looking for help. Good job by the Northeastern defense. And they got numbers on the outside. Diego Macchiera's got to get the ball out. You know, he lays down a kick, but he does it for the forwards. Chris Frazier's not the fastest guy on this field, and it's basically just giving away possession again. Hokies with the ball.
So Northeastern playing field position, kick it forward, but Virginia Tech now with an opportunity to put something on the board. Something they weren't able to do moments ago. And up the middle, here goes number 5, Andy Haskell.
Well, that's a try. If there are Hokies trailing them, you got to get into those support lanes and call for the ball. But there's nobody there for the Hokies, and it makes it easy for the Northeastern defense.
Easier said than done, Brian, when you've been running for almost 6 straight minutes, running in support. But the payoff is there if you can get there. And again, Virginia Tech, no one running in support.
Well, look at the attackers from Virginia Tech. They're all flat. They need to be deeper. That ball,
and they get it across.
Black 2.
Good job by Mick Minichiello. He's one of those guys we talked about earlier. If you're a big guy who can run, and Minichiello has been a great finisher, kind of the battering ram type for those Hokies. And he's just short distance here, sees a little gap.
Black 2.
One of the imports for the Hokies, Minichiello, coming to us by way of South Africa. He started playing when he was 5 years of age, so an advantage right off the bat. Most American kids not getting that kind of start, and the 2-point conversion is no good. So we remain at 5 even after the end of the first half here in the plate semifinals. It's a rough, tough, violent sport, but that's not the word that comes to mind when you talk to these players.
Yeah, gotcha.
The best part about rugby is the camaraderie and the relationships that you build.
Just the camaraderie that comes along with it.
Camaraderie.
Love the camaraderie.
The camaraderie among the teams. The camaraderie that comes around with the sport.
The camaraderie that you have on the field.
I love the camaraderie of rugby.
I love the violence about the sport.
In September of 2015, the eyes of the rugby world will turn to England as the best teams from around the globe come together to compete in the IRB Rugby World Cup. 20 nations, including defending World Cup champion New Zealand. The USA Eagles will be fighting it out on the pitch to be named the world's best. That's 2015 Rugby World Cup on Universal Sports and NBC. Also coming up, the All Blacks taking on Team USA November 1st. That one coming to us by way of Soldier Field in Chicago, Illinois. You won't want to miss that one. And there you see the schedule for the HSBC World Series USA Sevens. As before we get to the second half, let's check it on the field with Marty Snyder.
Well, Todd, I'm hanging out with what might be a couple of familiar faces. Michael Kendricks, linebacker for the Philadelphia Eagles, former Cal star, and a new rugby fan, and Tana Umanga, who's a former 15s captain for the All Blacks in New Zealand. But let's start with you, Michael. You've kind of hung around the rugby program at Cal, so you knew about them, but you're impressed with what you've seen here in the 7 team, haven't you?
Oh, yes, most definitely. At Cal, we always share the same facilities, so I'm familiar with the faces that are here today, and I'm just out here supporting my guys, man. They play for my alma mater, and so I'm just out here showing some support.
Sure, he's ready to suit up too. Let's talk about this matchup we have coming up, Tana, with the U.S. team and the All Blacks. How's that going to be on November 1st?
Oh, it's going to be great. Obviously, a lot of New Zealanders are looking forward to it, and breaking new ground, coming over to play here in the U.S. and being here this weekend and seeing so much talent on show. It bodes well for the future of American rugby.
How about playing at Soldier Field, though? That's going to be cool, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's got a lot of history there. I hear it's going to be cold, so we'll have to make sure that we're ready for that. But it's going to be exciting. It's going to be something to get along to.
Maybe that'll be the U.S. advantage, Todd. It'll be a little chilly at Soldier Field on November 1st, but we'll all be there.
Yeah, no question about it. Thank you, Marty. And a try right off the bat to start the second half as Northeastern breaks the 5-all tie, and they push it out in front. Brian, talking a little bit as they get set for the conversion, the All Blacks coming to the U.S. is a huge deal. The All Blacks coming to the U.S. to play USA is a big deal, but in November, has anyone told the All Blacks what the weather's like in Chicago in November?
Oh, they'll be ready for it. They played in all different conditions, and I talk about an unprecedented event in the world of rugby in the United States, and it's just going to be awesome. The most iconic team of all time playing on home soil here.
I think
it's going to be awesome.
The best way to describe it to folks that aren't familiar with rugby, it would basically be like sending the Chicago Bulls, the Boston Celtics, the LA Lakers to another country to play, or if you brought in some team like Brazil in soccer to the U.S. to play, it's the cream of the crop.
Absolutely.
Well, here's the last try by Northeastern, and again, good spacing, but right up the gut, and Chris Frazier with one quick move and applies the downward pressure.
Yep, Frazier's one of those guys who's kind of been looked at. He's been targeted by some of the guys like Alex Magleby, looking for the next wave of U.S. national team players and potential Olympians. Just one of those guys. He's big, he's rangy, but he gets around the park rather nicely.
While we're on the subject of promoting NBC and the NBC Sports Network, you know what's coming up in 2016? The Olympics in Rio, and Rugby Sevens returns to the Olympics, which will be fantastic to see in Rio, and Alex Magleby, one of the coaches, looking for the players that might be ready in 2 years.
Well, it's a great break there by Michael Serby, but he can't finish, in a great tackle around the shirtwaist. But finally, Matt Murray able to break over for Virginia Tech, and they answer back quickly to Northeastern's try.
So the Hokies draw even yet again as we go under 4:50 to play in this one, Brian. This is just hard running.
Yeah, and it starts from Michael Serby, but it ends well with Matt Murphy going across. And sometimes if you're on a break, it's just hard for the defense to collapse and then regain its structure, and that's what happened in Northeastern. You got a lot of guys running backwards to try to reform that defensive wall.
Murray unable to kick through the extra point, 2-point conversion, so the senior out of Rockville, Maryland, will head back and we'll reset on the kick, all even at 10 with about 4 minutes and 10 seconds to play in this one, the plate semifinal.
Hands off. Sub, do we get him off and get him on? Ball back to the middle, please. John?
And as Brian Hightower pointed out, if you're not familiar with the game of rugby, we'll try to lay out as much as possible. Let him teach you as well as he works with the players.
Time's on.
Free ball.
Backwards, off block.
And I'll tell you what, Diego Macchiera has been very active today for the Huskies, but right now it's number 3, Chris Frazier, off and running. Frazier with a beautiful stiff arm. Does he have enough steam to get across? Yes, he does. And the downward pressure and the try is awarded, and this should be a very easy conversion for the Huskies.
every team has a couple of players that you just have to bottle up. Sometimes it's worth putting 2 men on 1, and Chris Frazier is that guy from Northeastern. If you don't get a good shoulder into him, you're not going to bring him down. And look at that, a swerve for the big man. He dances around Andy Haskell, and he's in for the try. That's why he's on the radar.
So Frazier at 6'3", 225, and the extra 2-point conversion is unsuccessful. How about this start, though? I mean, this is all off the kick restart. Macchiera triggering it, finds Frazier when in doubt. Let the big man do the work.
Absolutely, especially if he's going to do that much work. And they went through about 4 different Virginia Tech defenders to get there, and that's just not good enough. You got to get shoulders into bodies, and you got to wrap the legs and put these guys on the ground. It's hard to do on day 3, as we see a pretty horrible restart kick from the halfway line, and Virginia Tech will get the benefit of a free kick from the midfield stripe there.
Andy Haskell is playing a sweeper. Last man goes 5'8", 175. He sees Frazier coming at 6'3", 225. You don't have to be a physics major to say this will probably end worse for Haskell. Unable to make the tackle, and now the score is 10-15. Northeastern on top by 5 as we come up on 2:20 to play in this one. We check in on the field with Marty Snyder.
Well, Todd, no matter what happens in this match, you have to give Jamie Green and Northeastern a lot of credit this year. They were determined to be better at the CRC this year, so that meant winter practice. In Boston, that doesn't work very well, so they found an indoor training facility. Problem is, it was 45 minutes away. The only slot they could get, 10 p.m. to midnight. But they practiced every day, 5 days a week, 10 p.m. to midnight. Now, some of these guys had 6 a.m. classes, so they're up at 5:30 in the morning after practicing. They have certainly put in the work, trying to prove it here in Philly.
Or the boys from Northeastern running a Naval Academy type schedule. Brian, you were at William & Mary, and let's talk about this as we listen in on the scrum. As soon as this is done, I'll get my question to you.
Back here, White.
So an infraction on the scrum, Brian. How often do the college facilities want to share with a rugby? If it's just a club team or club status, does a football team want to say, hey, we'll give up our indoor practice facility for you guys?
Yeah, I think they do, actually.
You got to come through.
And a lot of it depends on the dialogue that college rugby coaches are having with their athletic departments. And what we've seen since the CRC started, this event came on the scene, and people want to be in it. It's getting all that exposure that college rugby has never had before. And suddenly there is a dialogue between athletic departments and rugby teams. They're getting varsity weight rooms to train in. They're getting trainers, and they're getting nutrition help. And it's just been blown up the sport. It's been great.
Is it economics that drives it, though? Because you don't need a ton of money to outfit a Rugby 7 squad. Usually these teams about 12 kids and a staff, as opposed to football where you're looking at 100 plus.
I think finally colleges are waking up to the beauty of this sport. It's had some image issues in the past, but really a lot of that is just stereotype. And I tell you what, not only can these guys get after it on the field, but they're also some of the best students. You talk to Cal, they got the best GPA of any varsity program at the University of California. Dartmouth, they're taking exams all week. These guys from Northeastern are all engineers. Michigan's got a ton of them. It's been great to listen to their stories off the field, what they're doing at their universities.
Back to the action right now, 15-10 Northeastern looking for more. Knocking on the door, Diego Macchiera out to the outside, numbers out there if he needs them. Can't pass it, he had a man in front of him, had to come back, and coming back is Brian Eustace. As the clock goes to 0, the try is awarded.
Good team rugby at the end by Northeastern. I thought they made a little bit of hard work of that try. Should have been a little bit easier to do, but the clock was at 0s anyways, and they had this one in the bag, and a great job by Jamie Green's men from Northeastern.
So a tough break for Craig Bucher, the head coach of Virginia Tech and his Hokies. I agree with what he told our Marty Snyder earlier, though. They have come a long way since last year's tournament.
Absolutely, and Virginia Tech, you know, these guys have nothing to be ashamed about. They certainly, for me, the most improved team at this tournament.
Full time.
So the game has gone final. It is the Huskies of Northeastern getting the victory 20-10 over the Hokies of Virginia Tech here in the plate semifinals. So one more game for the Huskies as they'll battle for the plate championship, and we've got more